You take a little slice out of the middle through inflation. You give everybody else what is left, but it's all distributed, sliced up into these units of currency, and nobody can see the value that you have stolen from everybody else. In this video, I'm going to attempt to prove to you that the minimum wage has actually fallen by more than 70% over the last 61 years. Yes, the minimum wage has gone down by more than 70% over the past 61 years. And for that, I'm going to use this brilliant tweet by Luke Groman. Luke Groman has a great mind, and I love how he looks at things a different way. It's really worth paying attention to him. He's a great guy. This ceases to be an intellectual exercise once you realize, A, U.S. minimum wage was 5 silver quarters, $1.25 in 1963. Those silver quarters are worth $25 now. U.S. CPI calculations say that $1.25 is only worth $10.81 now. The $14.19 difference has gone to the U.S. top 10%. Labor share of corporate profits is near multi-decade lows. U.S. political dysfunction is at multi-generational highs, driven in no small part by the highest income inequality in nearly 100 years. Now, this is absolutely true, but I want to try and dig a little deeper than this. So let's take this apart here. First of all, U.S. minimum wage was 5 silver quarters of real money, silver, which was 1.25 silver dollars, 125% of a silver dollar in 1963. 5 silver quarters, each quarter being 25%, 1 quarter of a silver dollar. So that was, you've got 4 of those equaled $1, right? That's $1, but it was $1 of money. Those 5 silver quarters of money are now worth $25 of national fiat currency, Federal Reserve notes. So the 5 silver quarters of money, $1.25 of money is now worth $25 of national fiat currency, Federal Reserve notes, the fake stuff. The USCP lie, a term that I coined in my first book, the Guide to Investing in Gold and Silver, back in 2008. I made that term up. The CP lie calculations say that $1.25 is only worth $10.81 now, and that probably should be phrased that $1.25 of 1963 money dollars is now only worth $10.81 of 2024 national fiat Federal Reserve notes. Now, this is the lie, though, and silver is exposing that lie. To buy $1.25 of silver from 1963 now costs $25. So, and I do want to point out here, 25 divided by 5 is 5, right? Except that's 5 silver quarters, a quarter of $1. This isn't $5. So in $25, there are actually 100 quarters, right? So you've got 100 divided by 5. That means that the dollar has fallen in purchasing power against silver. $25 buys 5 silver quarters. If you take this divided by that, you end up with 20. If you take 100 divided by 5, you end up with 20. So the dollar has fallen to 1/20th of its value. That is 95% fall in purchasing power of national fiat currency Federal Reserve notes. They are not money. This is currency. Difference between money and currency is very, very clear here. So the difference has gone to the top 10%. Now, I do want to point out 5 silver quarters was minimum wage. What's minimum wage today? Minimum wage, this is the U.S. Department of Labor. Minimum wage is $7.25 per hour. Now that's federal minimum wage. It's not California and Seattle and people that are just like dreaming that where bureaucrats are trying to dictate what they think is fair and try to disregard economics. And when you disregard economics, you always get punished. Well, not those bureaucrats. They're doing well. They get these, six-figure paychecks. It's punishing the people that they're dictating this minimum wage, thinking that they are defending it. So when they try and dictate the $20 minimum wage. So let's take these 5 silver quarters of minimum wage, and now it costs $25 for those 5 silver quarters. 25 divided by 5 is $5 each, right? So you take this minimum wage of $7.25 per hour, and if we take the 7.25 divided by the $5 quarter, each quarter now costs $5, you end up with 1.45 quarters. So let's go to a percentage calculator. Minimum wage used to be 5 silver quarters. Now it is 1.45 quarters, and that is a fall of 71%. Minimum wage has literally fallen by 71% since 1963. It's a different way of looking at things. Now, let's look, I wish that we could create a minimum wage that would work. I think everybody should get paid $50, no, $100 an hour, no, $1,000 an hour. I think it's better $10,000 an hour. That's what we should pay people, because that would be great, wouldn't it? If all of us, including somebody working at McDonald's flipping hamburgers, could get paid $10,000 an hour. Well, wait a minute. Wouldn't that mean that a hamburger would cost about $50 million when you for somebody that goes to McDonald's? I haven't eaten there in, I don't know, it's been decades. But there's sort of a choice. Economics, it's supply and demand. And when you raise the price, you reduce demand. And so you raise the price of a job, of pay, you're going to reduce the demand of how many people want to create, how many people want to pay somebody, how many people can afford to pay somebody. And so here is the proof, or here's some of the things. We're on the brink of an unemployment fiasco. Unless the Fed steps in fast, actually what they need to do is step out fast, not step in. The Fed needs to go away, actually. Millions of Americans could lose their job. So this is somebody not looking at the fundamentals that wrote this article, that doesn't really understand the real economics behind it. When you raise minimum wage, so California raised it up to $20 an hour, 10,000 California fast food workers McFired thanks to $20 minimum wage. And so you raise it up, and all these people lose their job. You need further proof? Seattle mandates a $4.99 fee on Uber Eats. So let's just call that $5 to help drivers. Deliveries crash by 45%. Okay, every time, if you're an Uber driver, whether you're accepting a ride or an Uber Eats delivery, every time you accept a delivery, that's another job. You've just been hired. Well, there's 45% less jobs available because of some bureaucrat deciding, this is fair. I'm going to help drivers. I'm going to help them by eliminating 45% of the potential job openings that they've got. So, Jay Powell. Now, these people, in Chapter 4 of The Great Gold and Silver Rush of the 21st Century, I talked about the wealth transfer that these people are causing. And I said that they're a bunch of very smart PhD economists. And if they do not understand the wealth transfer that they are causing, then they are incompetent and do not belong in their jobs. If they do understand the wealth transfer that they are causing, then they are immoral and they belong in jail. And there is no middle ground here. They either understand it or they don't understand it. So it's one or the other. They're incompetent, Federal Reserve needs to be dissolved, and they need to lose their jobs, or they are immoral and they belong in jail. Because now, Jay Powell signals growing confidence that the U.S. inflation is moving towards the 2% target. In other words, they have targeted 2% of the amount of theft, the amount that they are going to steal from you each year. They are going to take 2% of your income due to inflation. Now, they accidentally created so much currency during the pandemic that for a while it was a stated, according to their measures of inflation, the CPI, the CPI, it was like up to 9% that they were stealing from you every single year, taking 9% of your savings, your pay, taking 9% of your purchasing power each year. But it was actually far more than that. If you look at the price of real goods and services, they pick and choose how they measure, and then they adjust it. They always adjust it to make it look better so that their theft does not look as egregious. But they are now, they've been targeting 2% theft instead of 9% or 16% or 20% or whatever the theft really was. So that's how much they're going to steal from you in the future. And you want to see how this works? Because the average person never sees this. It is invisible, the way that they do it. So I want to show you the best explanation I've seen of this. You take the currency supply. This is the whole thing. You take a big slice out of the middle, inflation. You take the rest of the currency supply and you cut it up into little currency units called dollars, and nobody can see the robbery that has just been committed, the theft. Let me show you this once again here. You take a little slice out of the middle through inflation. You give everybody else what is left, but it's all distributed, sliced up into these units of currency, and nobody can see the value that you have stolen from everybody else. The way to fix this, you can fix unemployment by getting rid of minimum wage. You can fix the wealth inequality, the income inequality, by getting rid of currency and going back to money. The difference with minimum wage, the difference between $1 million of income per year and $20,000 worth of income, if you make a deal with somebody to work for $20,000 a year, that's your income. The difference between $1 million and $20,000 is less. It's less. There's less inequality than $1 million and zero, which is what happens when you dictate a minimum wage. A lot of people have zero income because they don't have a wage. This is just a different way of looking at things, and hopefully, when you know the difference between currency and money, you can then analyze things like this and see through the fog. Whenever you use currency, there is a fog that you cannot see through. When you think of things in terms of money, it lifts the fog and you can see clearly. I want to thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.